Southeast Radio's Business Matters with Carl Fitzpatrick.
John Dwyer has been described as the Walt Disney of the marketing world and has even enticed Jerry Seinfeld to promote an Australian building society. John Dwyer, from the Institute of Wow, believes that marketing should be about keeping customers' eyes off the price and instead provide them with incentives to buy. John joins us now from Australia to explain how you can put the wow factor into your marketing activities. But John, why should marketing activities be designed to keep customers' eyes off the price?
Yeah, well, look, my business is called the Institute of Wow, and as that name infers, it's all about teaching business owners how to, create wow factors to take their customers or their clients' eyes off the price. Because I always say to people, look, if you are a small to medium-sized player, in other words, you're not Nike or you're not Kellogg's or you're not Coca-Cola, then, of course, why try and beat the 40-ton gorillas on price? It'd be like a little corner store trying to beat Costco in America across the road. There's no way they're going to beat them on price. But if they actually take their eyes off take the customer's eyes off the price by offering an incentive or giving a chance to win, certain prizes and so forth, then, of course, the big guy across the road is so big and fat and lazy that they can't move fast enough. And I keep on saying to smaller businesses, create a wow factor so that you distinguish yourself from your 40-ton gorilla competitor.
And what's involved in creating a wow factor?
Look, pretty much either one of, two things. Number one, you either offer an incentive, and McDonald's do that very well with their Happy Meal. You get a plastic toy inside. You're talking to the father of 6 children. Now, they're adults these days, but we had 6 children under 12 at one stage, and I think my wife spent $7 gazillion at McDonald's. had nothing at all to do with the hamburger. It was all about the free toy. So you either offer them an incentive, or what you do is that you put them into a reward program. And of course, the beauty of a reward program is that they become sticky and they hang around with you for a long time. And hopefully then after that, you provide them with some sort of gift. And it might be a dining voucher. It might be a petrol discount voucher. It could be a movie ticket. We find, quite frankly, having tested all of the incentives you could think of, a free holiday is the one that's probably the gold medal.
As well as McDonald's, other big firms like Amazon and Kellogg's have mastered incentive-based marketing for many years. But why do more businesses not get involved in campaigns like this?
You know why? I think, Carl, the short answer is I don't know. But by the same token, my best guess is that because they have come through the schooling of having to be the cheapest. And so therefore they try and beat the big boys on price, which of course is never going to happen. You can't beat Kmart on price if you happen to be a corner store. And I think also too is the lack of imagination with a lot of business owners. You see, the thing is that what I find, and I'm doing seminars or webinars or anything that might have 50 or 150 business owners in front of me, I always say to them, listen, when you were doing university or college to become a dentist, did they teach you how to get clients? And of course the answer is no. When you did a landscaping course at college or university, did they teach you how to get clients? And the answer is no. So what happens is that most business owners are great technicians. They're fantastic butchers, bakers, candlestick makers, but no one has ever put marketing in between their ears. And so therefore they come out as a great technician, but they don't know how to get customers.
And an old marketing quote, people respond to an offer, not the price. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, look, the thing is that, and I can't quote exactly these survey results, but, I've seen survey after survey, particularly in the United States, where people were asked, did they buy on price? And it was something like 60-something% said no. It was a majority of people said they didn't buy on price. What they bought on was the sex appeal of the offer. And look, when you think about it, I remember being in a boardroom with a bank. In fact, it was the bank that I got Jerry Seinfeld to do the ads for. And I was in the boardroom on one occasion, and I threw, just to prove to them that you could take people's eyes off the price, I said to them, listen, I'm going to throw a Happy Meal box on the middle of the boardroom table. Now, this was a bank, so they were all pretty boring characters around the boardroom table. And they said, what's that? And I said, well, the thing is that my wife and myself have spent $1 gazillion on Happy Meals because of the toy, and I couldn't tell you what the price of a Happy Meal was. Can I ask any one of you guys around the table if you've got children and grandchildren? And they all put their hands up. And I said, well, tell me the price of a Happy Meal. Do you know, Carl, they never got within $1, because that proved that it's the offer. In other words, buy a Happy Meal, get a free toy. It's the offer that wins, not the price.
It's so true. And there's nothing as well like a deadline to focus the mind. How important is it for businesses to put a deadline on these incentives?
Oh, massive. massive. You know, the thing is that I keep on saying to people, all of us, me included, by the way, I'm no exception, we sit on the fence. That's just what we do. We think, oh, well, we buy that lounge suite. Oh, look, that's going to be $2,000 out of my pocket. I might just think about that a little bit longer. So the only way to get people off the fence is to give them a wow factor. And that wow factor could be a free something when they buy, but they've got to get in by a certain time. So you've got to have either, I won't say you've got to, but it's advantageous to any business owner to have a time deadline. So in other words, this special deal of getting, let's say, a free skateboard if you buy that particular, sporting equipment, you've got to get in by 5 o'clock on Friday. And if you do get in at 5 o'clock on Friday, you get the deal. Otherwise, no, you won't get it. Or you say to them, look, we've only got a limited quantity.
How has your approach changed with the advent and emergence of digital marketing and social media marketing?
Yeah, well, you're talking to the right guy because I was born in the 1800s, little house on the prairie. Yeah, look, it's made a significant difference because really, my career started when there was just 3 TV stations in Australia, and there was Rupert Murdoch had 5 national newspapers, and women's magazines were coming out every week or every month, which meant that if you put an ad in the women's magazine that, let's say, it was the Women's Weekly, and it came out every month, and that ad was unsuccessful. In other words, it was not a good ad. Guess what? You had to wait around for 29 more days till the next magazine came out to fix it. And that's all changed because, as you know, you can put an ad on Facebook today, and if it doesn't bring home the bacon for you tomorrow, and that's what direct response marketing is all about, direct response. If you don't get that good direct response tomorrow, you can change the ad immediately because you've got 16 sitting on the reserve bench. It's changed the landscape absolutely enormously. And, of course, as you well know, anyone working from the bedroom of their home now can look like a big business.
And talk to us about the direct response marketing process that you believe can deliver the best results for businesses.
Yeah, look, the reason that we've sort of focused on this thing called direct response marketing is because really it's very powerful if you get it right. And I'm going to sound like a school teacher here, Carl, so excuse me as I put my school teacher hat on, but there's 5 components to direct response marketing. Number 1, highlight their problem. So, for example, if it was a weight loss business, you'd say, oh, look, are you feeling overweight at the moment, not feeling healthy? Number 2, aggravate the problem. So, firstly, highlight the problem. Number 2, aggravate the problem. You say, look, summer's just around the corner. Do you want to look good in your swimsuit? Number 3, provide the solution. Join my weight loss program and you could look like a supermodel in 4 weeks, right? Number 4, provide proof, which generally speaking is testimonials. Hi, my name's Jenny. I was overweight and now a month later I look like a supermodel. And then number 5, a call to action, a very strong call to action, which of course is what I said before, a limited quantity or limited time. But if you want to really drill that down to what is problem, aggravate problem, provide solution, provide proof, and then a call to action, it's problem solution marketing. Show people your problem, or their problem, I should say, and provide them with an easy-to-digest solution.
Can you share some other examples of the direct response marketing campaigns that your clients have implemented and the results which they have delivered?
It was a bank down under, in fact, a building society, and it was called the Greater Building Society, and they engaged my services, and I said to them exactly what we've just discussed here. I said, you're not going to beat the big banks. They're a big business. They're 250th biggest business in Australia, but they certainly weren't the big banks. And I said, look, you're not going to beat them on price. They're a 40-ton gorilla. So why don't you do this? Why don't you stop your honeymoon rate for the first 12 months, which is what every bank does for home loans. And what you should do is give that to a travel company that I've been doing some TV infomercials for, and they'll give you a discount holidays. And that's what we did. We came on TV and we said, look, get a home loan from the Greater Building Society or swap from those nasty banks and come across to us and we'll give you a free holiday. They tripled their home loans in the first 3 months and quadrupled them within 12 months. The thing went nuts and they took billions and not millions, but billions and billions and billions of extra home loans in little old Australia. And this idiot who you're talking to charged a consultancy fee, not a percentage of the increase in home loans. So I'm a complete fool. And about 4 or 5 years into a very successful promotion, get a home loan, get a free holiday, I convinced Jerry Seinfeld to become spokesman. So I flew backwards and forwards to New York over 3 years, and we had Jerry Seinfeld come on TV here in Australia and, of course, social media. And when you've got Jerry Seinfeld telling you to swap your home loan to this particular building society and get a free holiday, watch out. It just took it to another level entirely.
Talk to us about your book, The Wow Manifesto.
a gigantic book, which is the size of a tabloid newspaper, and that's how stupid I am. I decided when I was going to write a book, well, if it's called the Institute of Wow.com, I better do something different. So again, with this mantra of wow factor, if I preach it, I better practice it. So instead of your normal little sort of A5 size book, this is the size of a tabloid newspaper, and it's leather bound with gold tip edges and 300 pages of all of the best direct response campaigns that I've ever put together over the last 10, 15, 20 years. You get the digital copy, and all you have to do is go to wowmanifesto.com with a /gift, as in Christmas gift, GIFT. So that's wowmanifesto.com /gift.
From an affordability perspective, is direct response marketing feasible for all small businesses?
Absolutely. Yeah, because the thing is, I have this argument from time to time with advertising agencies or digital marketing agencies these days. They go, you've got to build your brand. And I said, yeah, look, conventional wisdom from advertising agencies is, get them to fall in love with your brand so that they'll taste your product. What we teach them to do is flip that model entirely, get them to taste your product so they'll fall in love with your brand. So, for example, if you had a seafood restaurant, I'd be suggesting to you that you have hosts or hostesses out there at lunchtime and dinner time handing out calamari samples. Because when they taste the calamari samples, assuming that they're very good, then they're tempted to come inside to actually buy, fish and chips and the whole, shooting match. So therefore, that's getting them to taste your product, so they'll come inside and fall in love with your brand. Because most small businesses, they can't build a brand, overnight because they can't sponsor the Olympics or the football or soccer teams, and they can't put their name on the side, their face on the side of the bus. They just don't have that sort of budget. But what they do have is a modest budget, and what we teach them to do is actually create that on Facebook and, the likes of Instagram and TikTok and places like that, whereby they can actually experiment with 2 or 3 different campaigns, and the one that works is the one you put your foot on the accelerator with.
And when it comes to marketing, especially online and social media marketing, John, I often find that business owners, they seem to get lost in the metrics. They seem to focus on vanity metrics. What are your thoughts on those?
You've just hit one of my favourite subjects with my 6 millennials that argue with me around the table until they get a mortgage. Okay, so I've got 6 millennial children, and of course, they know everything. And when I say to them, look, this vanity metrics of the number of likes and stuff, I've got one of my sons. He's 27 years of age, and he boasts all the time about getting 20,000 or 30,000 likes on Instagram for his photographs. He's a videographer and a photographer, and I say to him, his name's Brendan. I say, Brendan, I love you dearly, but you've got to get that out of your mindset. You aren't making any money out of this. It's great to have the likes, but if you have not contacted, sure, you've not got their contact details, and therefore you can't sell anything to them, then that's meaningless. The vanity metrics is such a disease that, for small to medium-sized business owners, they've got to get out of that thought pattern. They've got to realise that really the real metrics that they should be worried about, because they're a small or medium-sized business, is, the cash register. That's what you've got to be concentrating on.
And in terms of business-to-consumer focused organisations, which social media channels do you rate most highly in terms of marketing?
Facebook, and Facebook, with probably a second place would be Instagram. And of course, depending upon the demographics of your audience, TikTok. Then you might want to think about running Facebook contests. And we have a thing called the Facebook contest formula. If anyone wants to have a look at it, it's just fbcontestformula.com. And what it is that it actually is a program that we put businesses in where they give their product or service away as a contest on Facebook, okay? And guess what? Last week we had a client who sells basically walker wheelies. So for the older generation, people who might not be able to walk as easy as they once did, they buy these $500-600 walker sort of frames with a wheel on it, and it helps them go shopping and so forth. So his audience predominantly are in their 70s and 80s. We ran a contest from Monday last week, and we actually put onto Facebook a picture of a gentleman in the older generation in one of these walker frames, and we said, how would you like to win this? Just simply click the Facebook ad and go through to a landing page and give us your details. Guess what? He got 822 entries in the first week at 35 cents an entry, in other words, 35 cents a lead, which is unbelievable. He'd be willing to pay $5 or $10 or $20 a lead, right? He got 822 entries in this contest. And he said to me, look, now that I see how this works, he said, it's just blown me away. We'd normally get 822 leads in 6 months. He said, I'm going to put other products on there as well. And his issue is, of course, that he needs to follow up that 822 leads. As you and I would say, Carl, get on the blower and get onto them. Because he's only got a small staff, we've got an AI robot this week following up all those leads for him. So therefore, an AI robot that sounds exactly like a human rings all of those people and says, look, got some bad news. You didn't win the contest, but I got some extra good news. You're obviously interested in one of these walking frames. We've got a special deal, blah, 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 if you get it by Friday. You don't get a red-hot list like that from anywhere else.
And John, you believe that business owners and managers should be the on of their industry. Explain what you mean by this.
Carl, when you become a seminar speaker or any of these so-called thought leaders, you've got to have your own little mantras. And so my one, as corny as it is that you should be the of your industry. Okay, you should be unconventional, you should be unusual, and you should be unlike anyone else. It's corny. I know it's corny. I'm sorry, but when you drill down, I think there's some logic in that. Be the of your industry. So be the accountant. In fact, we have a real estate agent who's a client, and as a result of him really believing, in this particular mantra, he changed his real estate agency to now it's called the Unreal Estate Agency.
That's brilliant. John, you mentioned how AI is playing a role in terms of the sales process by using an AI agent to make sales calls. But what do you think the world of marketing will see in terms of changes brought about by AI over the coming years?
Absolutely massive. A business here in Australia that's a tradie business, tradesman, okay? And so therefore they fix air conditioners, they fix smoke alarms inside your house, they do landscaping, they do lawn mowing, all that sort of stuff. So he's got about a dozen of these guys on the road. And what we've done is we've provided an AI agent, we've called it AI Genie, and this AI Genie answers all the phone calls. So they do their Facebook advertising, which we do for them. They get the leads. The biggest problem they've had is that they've had 3 ladies in the Philippines answering their phone. But if it's a hot day down under, guess what? Queries and inquiries for air conditioning triple. So they might get 100 phone calls that day, but the 3 ladies in the Philippines who are answering the phone for them can only get to 60. They're losing an average of 40% of their calls on a hot day. That doesn't happen anymore. Now they're open 24/7. If it's a hot day on a Saturday or Sunday, you ring the company and, of course, the robot answers and the robot goes through all the questions and asks you what you need. You do not know that it's a robot. You think it's a human, all right? And better still, guess what? We've actually trained the robots to actually schedule the tradesman's next job very close to where they are at the moment. The guy who owns this business, his name's Darren, lovely guy, he said to me yesterday, he said, my name's John Dwyer, but I get JD. He said, JD, you've just made an extra $800,000 for us this year. I said, what do you mean? He said, well, previously, we only could answer 60 out of 100 phone calls on a hot day. But B, what would happen is that, our tradie who was in Western Sydney would actually get a job and drive all the way to Northern Sydney, which would lose an hour out of his day. Because we've now picked up an hour each day out of every single one of our tradesmen, because the robot is actually scheduling all of their next calls close to where they are at the moment, that's going to save me $15,000 a week. Multiply that by 50 odd weeks. Guess what? $750,000, $800,000 saving.
Well, if you've just tuned in, that was John Dwyer from the Institute of Wow. And John's insightful take on effective marketing activities could certainly be beneficial for all of our businesses.
Southeast Radio's Business Matters with Carl Fitzpatrick.